How's everybody doing this morning? All right. It's good. It's good to be alive, isn't it? It's good to be at a beautiful place like Afton Mountain, Swananoa Palace. So take a deep breath and let's breathe deeply all weekend, because together we are creating a powerful field environment of the heart awareness. If we allow our hearts to open, we will all be shifted, we will all be changed. We will leave this mountain in a deeper, more profound, more powerful place. So I invite you to dive in and drink deeply. I'm going to ask Jeffrey Bullington to do just a little opening prayer. He'll be doing an opening meditation at 10:30 tomorrow morning, which is always very powerful. So I want to invite you to come tomorrow morning for the opening at 10:30 with Jeffrey. He and his lovely wife, Diana Bullington, will be the Sunday afternoon keynote. And they've done a lot of work on practical spirituality and boiling down universal principles into practical application. And that's really what we're all about here. So, Jeffrey, I'm going to ask you to give us a word of prayer, please.
And Richard said that right the first time. We want to start by breathing together. And as you breathe, focus on the breath itself. And as you breathe in, I want you to just remember a time when you've been up early in the morning and the sun's coming up and you feel relaxed and you feel calm and just the beginning of the day. And as you remember that, breathe in at the same time and follow your breath up, up, up into your brain and just let it spread out and create a very calming effect inside of you. Relax all the muscles in your body. And as you breathe out, tell your body to relax and let go of all tension. And now I want you to go back into your memory while you're sitting there. A memory that is filled with family or friends. You're laughing. You're having a great time. And I want you to go to that memory inside of you now. And when you have that memory, bring it down into your heart. Excellent. Now let's open our hearts outward and share all of our memories together. And we create one light that's already filled this palace. And if you look outside the palace, it's like a big dome of beautiful, sparkling light. And now open your mind and let the light out of your mind. And join our hearts and minds together in a powerful union of light and make a great big heart that this palace sits in. And truly all that is, the divine light of the universe, the divine light inside of us, the divine light in everything, be energized in this place today. That everyone that comes here enjoys this day and picks up something they can take home and they can use in their life to enrich their life. As you sit here this day listening to the speakers, that your life now and some of your problems just melt away from your life. As if you had just let go of them and they just disappeared. And truly, all that is. Thank you so much for this gathering. Bless the weather this day, all the vendors and the speakers, but especially the people who have come, that their lives are enriched, that their prayers are answered, and their life begins to turn into that spiritual journey they've always prayed and sought. And we love and we appreciate and thank them so much for this joining together today. And I want you to take one last thing, and I want you to take your energy and put it right here where this podium is, all from your hearts and minds for our next speaker. So her light and your light become one. And that she shares with you her knowledge and you share your love with her at the same time. Goodness to all concerned and thy will being done. We love and appreciate and thank you so much. Aho.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Tonight we're going to be blessed with a musical concert by Leah Morris, who's kindly traveled from Washington, D.C. to be with us this weekend. And so I want to ask Leah to come up and just give us a little opening song, a little tease maybe for the concert that's coming tonight, and just a little hitting of the gong for the vortex that we're opening at this moment for this weekend. So Leah Morris.
Thank you all. Good morning. I thought I knew exactly what I was going to sing this morning. I was very well prepared. And then I woke up and discovered that it would be something else entirely. So the lyrics of the refrain come from David Roth. And the verse came through me this morning. Searching for? What are you trying to find? It's so near. It's right here. What is your true desire? What can't you live without? Look around. It is not lost, but you can be found. Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your heart? Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your own heart? You may feel you're lost at sea, perhaps that the world is on fire, but it's alright. There is a light that still shines in the darkest of nights. Just come home. Will you come home? Will you come home to your heart? Will you come home? Please just come home. Will you come home to your own heart? Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your heart? Will you come home? Will you come home? Will you come home to your own heart? What are you searching for?
Consider yourself sufficiently teased. You know, around One Heart, we have a saying that we're actually fundamentalist, with the emphasis on fun, F-U-N. Patty Snyder taught us years ago, if we're not having fun, we should just all go home. So that's our litmus test when we gather, is are we laughing, are we having a good time, are we building those joyful memories that we can put in our little memory bank and remember when the going gets tough, that old Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 grind that we all find ourselves in, and various little dramas that happen in life. And so really this weekend is an awesome opportunity to really dive deep into your heart, to come home to your heart and anchor there, so that when you leave the mountain, you really have that fulcrum of power of the heart to live your life and not be stressed and not get sucked into drama. So tonight, Leah's going to do a concert at 7 o'clock, and that'll run from about 7 to 9. And I have a suspicion the second part of that music might allow us to move the chairs and get up and dance a little bit. There's a little Sufi in all of us, you know. When you sing, it's just the throat chakra. When you dance, it's your whole body, you know. So it really brings your spirit in. And that's what these gatherings are designed to do, is bring your spirit in, you know. There's really a lot of sort of misunderstanding really about what homecoming is for the Center of the One Heart and our homecoming festival. So while it is true that some of us have been students of Walter and Leo Russell and of their teachings and message, and it's also true that for some 50 years that message was delivered from this mountaintop. We're not coming back to some alma mater. This has nothing to do with the past, and it really doesn't have a whole lot to do about tomorrow either. We're really here to rejoice in the eternal now. The term a lot of us in One Heart use is verticality, meaning how far up into that eagle's view can we get into the now. And what we learn is the deeper into the now, into the heart of the now that we go, the larger that throws a shadow over the future and the past, so that we can, by living in the now, prepare the way for the future and heal and release the past, so that we're not drawn out of the now. We're not drawn away from happiness, away from joy. So we're going to have a good time. Raise your hand if you've been to homecomings here before. Oh yeah, that's a lot of us. That's good. You know how the cake is baked here then. All the ingredients are important, and it's kind of like putting a puzzle together, you know? And so you're a puzzle piece. And so what you want to find this weekend are the puzzle pieces that are right next to you. Last night, after the setup, we had a little dinner, and one of the fellows had come all the way from Ohio, and he said his name was Bruce Forrester. I said, well, I went to high school with a Bruce Forrester, but I know it's not you. He looked way too young, you know, he couldn't have been my age. He said, well, where'd you go to high school? I said, Episcopal High School. He said, I went there too. I haven't seen him for, you know, since 1967, but here I run into him at Afton Mountain, and I took that as such a kind of little tip of the hat from the Creator to me personally, you know. That's here for you too, you know, and it could be in any way, shape, or form. It could be a powerful concert that touches your heart and moves you and changes you. It could be a speaker who touches your heart, moves you, and changes you. It could be some piece of jewelry that some artist has made that's waiting here for you today. So relax, let your hair down, say hello. This is not a stuffy event. We ask for you to feel free to interact with the speakers that are here. And it's a little bright here, so I can't see exactly who's here, although I know Maggie's here somewhere. But we're going to have a good time. I want to thank you for being here, for answering the call and coming up the mountain. And it's my deep, fervent prayer that you find exactly what your spirit and what your soul needs today, tonight, tomorrow as we gather, and that you can put your sails up and gather that love, that energy, that awareness, and move forward in a new and renewed way in your life. The theme this weekend is Journey into the Heart. MSNBC says something like lean forward. You know, for us, it's lean into life with your heart. It's so easy to approach life through the mind and through the intellect. And there's this high-speed, very intuitive intelligence that's anchored in our heart that's so much greater than the mind. And so the mind will drag us around until it becomes harnessed by the heart and serves the heart and is infused with that heart power and that heart intelligence. So last year, for the very first time ever, our festival focused on the lives and work of Walter and Leo Russell. Now, part of it is One Heart, sort of a spin-off sort of messenger group. Michael Hudak, and I encourage you to meet with Michael. He'll be out on the porch. He's the president of the University of Science and Philosophy, which is the nonprofit 501c that's entrusted with the dissemination of the written word, the written message of the Russells. And the branch that we represent here, this One Heart, we are the collective messengers. So we're all about messengership. We're all about how do you live the message. And that's the subtitle of the theme, is living the message of love. So the theme doesn't directly reference Walter and Leo Russell, unless you know the word message. Living the message of love is a reference to them. But the journey we're on, the path we're on, is the same one Walter and Leo were on, which is to be representatives of the light, representatives of love, representatives of heart on the earth. From time to time, we've analogized it to taking a gallon of water and taking one drop of red ink and putting it in the water and noticing how much the water changes color just from one drop of ink. Or another one I like to do is go in a dark room and light one candle and notice the light that just comes from one candle. And so that's me, and that's you. You are the candle, I am the candle. So once we can burn brightly with that love, with that groundedness in the all that is, then we really are putting that signal out there in a way that will make a difference. And so when we come together collectively, it's kind of having a giant eyedropper, where we're squirting a lot of dye into the swimming pool of human consciousness. And so that's what we're really all about here, is to create an opening, pull the veil back, have a little portal where we can move into real fifth-dimensional, high-speed, intuitive heart intelligence. That's why we offer this on a donation basis rather than some exorbitant fee to come together. And the budget's posted. It's a $13,000 budget. We need about $8,000 still to pay all of our bills, so we encourage you, if you're able, to participate financially. If you're not, enjoy yourself, network around, find out what you're here to do. I had wanted to name the conference Entering the Crystal Cave, which was something very personal to each of us, to move into our own practical, unique application of this message. So our circle of leadership, we don't have a board of directors. We're kind of a goddess circle here with lots of boys in it. And so what we decided is we liked last year's focus on the Russells, so this year we decided to have half of the speakers represent the Russell lineage, and John Andreatis and Jeffrey and Diane Bullington certainly fall in that camp. And we also have invited some speakers whose teachings, message, revelation is congruent with the message that the Russells gave us. So we're all about a 21st century rendition, a post-2012 rendition of how to successfully live on planet Earth. So what you'll be hearing this weekend is information about tools, really, for living in the 21st century. How do you take the woo-woo? How do you take the cosmic universal law, the understanding of love and balance and vortex technology and all that, and apply it? How do you take those universal principles and live them in a daily way as you encounter all the stuff that happens in your life? So homecoming is really not about the Russells or even Swan and Noah. It's about coming home to the heart within ourselves. A lot of us have studied and worked and learned a lot of information. I've been on the path for a long time. What I found is for a long time, it was up between my ears, and I thought it was a big breakthrough when I finally realized, I've got to get to hemisync here, I've got to get a little metrosexual. I've got to have the male and the female aspects, the intuitive right brain, creative right brain, and the analytic, deductive left brain in sync, working together, Once I got there, I realized, whoa, that's just part one, this heart is a powerful intelligence all of its own. And so now I walk around with the visual of that brain being like a little bulb on this stem here that comes up from the heart, and the path I'm on is one of trying to live from the heart rather than from the mind, to listen deeply, to care, to love, to be present. and to be willing to speak up, to be willing to introduce yourself to the person sitting to your left or sitting to your right. So I encourage you, don't just hang out with and talk to the people you know this weekend. Go up to the ones you've never seen before and ask them who they are and how they heard about the event and what drew them here. And that's how you keep kicking the stones over to find those little magical gifts that are buried for you up on this mountain. It's kind of like a treasure hunt. That's what I like to think of these cake baking weekend festivals here. So it's connections, it's networking, it's putting that cosmic puzzle together. So thank you for being a piece of the puzzle and coming, and for meeting and connecting with all of the other pieces of the puzzle. I'm going to take a moment, go Buddhist on you here, and ask you to be mindful this weekend. We are at a building and gardens that are 100 years old, and all the bricks aren't even, and there's places that are dangerous. So while you're being inspired, also be aware of where you're putting your feet, keeping your balance, literally and figuratively, as you move about the property. We've done a lot of prayers for safety and protection and for the elementals to bring us nice weather. So I'm asking your participation to be mindful. I want to say a little bit more about the money, because we work it really different here. Our vendors, we have a number of vendors. They all, at the end of the weekend, re-give from whatever they have received over the weekend. If they're selling product, books, crystals, art, they re-give 10% of what they have taken in. And if they're doing massage or Reiki readings or tarot readings or any such service, then they re-give 25%. So we ask you to patronize the vendors. Go out there and see what they have, talk to them, find out what brought them here, and you might find something under a rock for you there that's got your name on it with a nice little bow on top. So meet the vendors. There's a long break at lunch from 12:30 to 2, and we don't really start the program in the mornings indoors till 10:30, although there is audio-visual up on the screen usually by 10 o'clock. The first few years we did the homecomings, everybody was so serious about the speakers that when the speakers were speaking, the vendors gave up and just came in and sat and listened to the speakers. The last few years, it's turned into more of a festival event, so the vendors pretty much are up and running throughout most of the day. But I do invite you to patronize the vendors. There's food, several food vendors, both days at lunch and for dinner tonight. They also do some re-giving. When you got your wristband to get into the Star Bar, kind of like a little nightclub here, except it's a day club today, you'll get a little pitch about the Blue Pot and how that works, and there's some signs posted around, and we actually have the granddaddy of the Care First community here for the first time at homecoming, Louis Bothlink, who will speak at 4 today, and he turned us on a few years ago to the whole notion of the Blue Pot of abundance and the secret of abundance. And the Russells taught that the secret of abundance was to give, and that's how you're re-given. You can draw on an endless supply. This notion that there isn't abundance is really an illusion. And so invite you to create abundance for yourself by supporting this event if you are able to financially. That allows future events like this to occur. It allows us to pay everybody on Monday morning when we have to pay them. And it allows you to get a great return on your investment because you're putting your money into an event that's truly raising consciousness and raising awareness. If there's anybody that wants to give as much as $1,000, touch base with me and I will put you in touch with Laura George, and you can get a tax deduction because the Oracle Institute is co-sponsoring this event with us. And Laura George and her mom are out on the front porch. She was a speaker in 2010. Right here, there we go. And they're doing great work down in Grayson County, Independence, Virginia, on the New River, which I believe is the oldest river in Virginia. I don't know why they call it the New River. Oldest in the world. And Laura, she's a recovering lawyer. She's no longer practicing law. She's more in the guru, spiritual inspiration business these days, although I believe she had some litigation with Grayson County before they let her organization open the doors down there, and she was successful. thanks to the Rutherford Institute and John Whitehead and our own J.B. Yunt, who referred Laura to the Rutherford Institute. I'd be remiss if I didn't tip the hat to the Chrysalis organization based in Waynesboro. For probably a quarter of a century, on the first Sunday of every month, some really good substantive program is offered at the Unitarian Church in Waynesboro on a donation basis. A few years ago, we kind of struck up a brother-sister relationship between Center of the One Heart and Chrysalis. The difference is Chrysalis pretty much does content, does program. One Heart is pretty much process and not so much content. When we get together, it's dancing, it's singing, it's ritual, it's ceremony, and we really have two versions of what we do. We do some smaller events through the year. If anybody was here for the spring fling in May, raise your hand. Okay, a couple people. We do a holiday party in December. We think of those as in-breath events. And those are in-breaths, meaning that we come together to kind of high-five in the spirit and inspire and re-inspire each other to kind of dip our cloth in the universal and be able to take it home and feeling better because we all got to see each other. In the early days of One Heart, we've actually been around now for, this is our 14th year as a nonprofit, we had two camps. One was the Save the World camp. That was the out-breath crowd that wanted to put it out there. And then we had the other camp, which was the Party to You Ascend camp, which was, it was all into having the family frequency and laughing and, whirling dervish yourself into enlightenment. And so that's what really gave birth to this rhythm of doing in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. So this event is our one glorious, huge out-breath event, so we're glad you're here. We are offering some content, some real cutting-edge speakers. We're going to be videotaping, and that's Joey Tran over there doing the videotaping. Thank you, Joey. Got to give a shout-out to Shalel Octavia. Yeah! Oh, he's my starry brother. I loved him from the first time I looked in his eyes, Angel Fire, New Mexico. Solara, Starborn Unlimited, the 1111 movement, if anybody remembers that from the 90s. And they located in Charlottesville. Starborn was here in Charlottesville for, 4 or 5 years, and people came in from everywhere. It was like a magnet. And Shalel and his good friend Ayala were two of the people that came in. And they loved Charlottesville, and they never left. And so we've had sort of an interesting evolution here at One Heart. Some of us were people who wanted to not lose touch with each other after the University of Science and Philosophy left the mountain. Some of us are even members of the old Chocolate Pie Lovers Club, which back in the 90s, when the university would have homecomings, there was a little group of us that go get Mrs. Rouse's chocolate pie and sit around and eat the chocolate pie. And we were the ones who were really, really interested in this notion of the message of love and how to live it. And so One Heart over the last 14, 15 years has kind of been the collision of the expatriates, refugees from the university and the people who didn't leave Charlottesville when Starborn Unlimited left Charlottesville, plus a whole lot of other wonderful people, including the awesome lady who's going to speak in just a moment, who we have networked with and become family with. And so I like to think of it as the family frequency, the family of the one. When you can gather and you look at someone and they know you know and you know they know and we all know we're one, it kind of makes everything so much easier. And it's a power. That power of the one, that power of the family frequency, really exhort you to drink it in, imbibe it this weekend, and let it empower you. And then when you're in a rough corner where somebody's beating up on you for something, you just remember the fun you had this weekend and the other people who sat in council, who sat in circle with you, remembering and doing the dance of the light. So, there's so many thanks I could give. I want to really give it. Doesn't the grounds look great? Everybody like how it's mowed and power washed? I'm telling you, So that's a shout out to Sam Spiker and to Kevin Morrison and to Gary Wallace and to Tom Gore and to Mark Graver, and I may be missing someone, but we've had a little grounds committee here that's worked this week to get everything in place. Big shout out to Marge Thompson for being the vendor coordinator. That's a lot of work. Anybody here ever studied Gurdjieff or Ouspensky? Almost nobody. Okay. Well, the general notion there is that when we're on the path, we undergo individual initiations, but there's also in the Gurdjieff and Ouspensky teaching information about group initiation. And that's a collaborative, accelerated path. And when we entrain and we merge with our flock, so to speak, it's sort of like the flapping of the wings, just get some aerodynamics going, and we can go further and we can go faster collectively. And it's a bit of a conundrum because we're like a herd of cats, everybody in one heart is very anchored in their own angle, as a teacher, healer, artist, spiritual seeker. So if we are an intentional community, it's a very loose-knit intentional community, no bricks, no mortar. Kind of a spiritual smart mob, It's like everybody gets a text that says, meet on the corner of 59th and Vine and we're going to protest for love or something for an hour, and everybody magically appears and we do what we do, and then everybody goes off into where they came from. And so out of the mist of time, right now on planet Earth, we're having one of those spiritual smart mob experiences. Yes? Time. All right, I'm a lawyer. I haven't recovered yet. I'm still practicing. It's 11:05. You're right. All right, with that, I'm going to invite Maggie McIlvaine, where is she, to come on up here. She's the founder and director of the Bridge Between the Worlds.